Hey everybody, it's Chuck Mauer here, local real estate agent, Century 21 in the Batardi Group in Northeast Ohio. I'm down here in my office just working on some stuff for some showings tomorrow morning. And you thought it'd be a good idea to just talk about buyers, and what I do to make buyers feel comfortable. I feel my job as a real estate agent isn't just showing people houses, but is to educate them throughout the process. My background is in education. I was actually a teacher and a principal for about 15 years before I jumped full time into my real estate career. What I like to do, whether it's a buyer I've worked with before, whether it's a family friend that comes from my sphere, or whether it's a lead that I get from a service or cold calling, whatever it may be, is I always like to push to meet with them in person. If we can't meet in person, then I like to do a Zoom call because I feel that I need to educate them through the process of buying their first house. When I can meet with them face to face or via Zoom, I can show them different documents and I can really talk to them about the pre approval process. Now, am I an expert in it and am I a lender? No. But I can talk to them a little bit about the pre approval process. I can give them some lenders that they can do their own research on and also lenders that I've worked with in the past. Therefore, they feel comfortable. Talking through that process with somebody else that can guide them in a little bit better direction than I can. Once we discuss the pre approval process, the next step I like to do is to set up the home search with them. So we go through, we click all the pertinent information, their price range that they think they want to be spending, the number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, and any other important information that they want in a house. We do that together. We set up the home search so that we're both on the same page. At that point, I can show them the functionality of my app and how they can favorite houses, like houses, dislike houses, how that helps me in the process. The next step I like to talk to them about is the buyer's broker's compensation. So even with some past clients, with this change happening really within the last year, I like to sit down with them, go over the buyer's broker's agreement, and explain to them, how I like to operate and what this looks like when they're signing it. The percentage that I am asking to be paid, and then how that percentage can be paid from the buyer, from the seller, a split of both. And I give them different scenarios so that they're really comfortable when they're going into a house that if they like it and they want to make an offer and we're asking for a certain percentage and the seller's offering a different percentage, what that looks like. Once we feel really comfortable with that step, then we just start going through the entire process. We start looking for homes. I always tell people, listen, this could take a day, it could take a month, it could take a year. But I'm going to be there with you every step of the way. Now, let's pretend like we find a house, we put an offer, and it gets accepted. What happens now? Right? What happens now is I'm taking that contract, I'm getting it to all the parties. Now I'm a communicator. I'm communicating with the buyer, with the title company, with the lender, with the other agent. I'm getting that document to all the correct places. And I'm explaining to them that within the first 7 days or so, we're going to set up a home inspection. This is what it looks like. This is the typical cost of home inspections in the area, although they can vary, and how long that process takes, what they should be doing when we're there, and all of that. Then we talk through the appraisal and we talk through different scenarios, especially if they get a short appraisal and what that looks like. And we talk through the most important step to me is just getting everything back in a timely manner to the lender. And I tell them some funny stories about when I go through the buying process. I always have to prove, since my dad and I have the same name, that I don't own my parents' house. And I share with them some other funny things that they look for and these underwriters look for. For example, when I bought my first house, I was tutoring a student, actually not a student, but a neighbor in math, and I was getting a check every Friday for $25. And the underwriter was asking why this person was writing me a check for $25 every Friday, and I had to write a letter and explain that I was tutoring them. Once we go through the process, then I give them an opportunity to ask any questions and obviously ask questions as we're sitting there. The whole buyer's meeting that I typically have with them takes anywhere between 30 minutes to 60 minutes. But I think it's well worth it. And I'm not just meeting somebody for the first time at a house, asking them to sign a buyer's broker's agreement. We're going over it. I feel like I'm sharing relevant information with them and they feel really comfortable. At the end of the meeting, I ask at this time if they're comfortable signing the buyer's broker's agreement. If they are, we do it right then and there. Sometimes they ask if I can leave a copy so they can review it a little bit more thoroughly. And I explain to them that this needs to be signed before we see our first house together. And once I meet with buyers in person, I feel like they have a really good understanding, or at least they feel like they have a better understanding of the buying process and what that looks like, and feel more comfortable with me. We just spent 30 to 60 minutes together. Sometimes, like I said, these are people I'm meeting for the first time, and give them the opportunity to ask me questions. Also, I'm qualifying them and asking questions of them as well, because it is a two-way street. And I tell everybody, when we meet, it's not just about you working with me, it's about me working with you as well. And we have to make sure that we're a good match for one another. But I find this very helpful. It's a little bit different than a listing appointment, which I'll get to in a future video. I appreciate you checking out my video. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. Please like, comment, subscribe. I'm trying to build this YouTube channel. These are my first couple videos I'm doing myself. My next video, I'll talk about what I do for my listing appointments. Also discuss what I did when I started real estate, how I got my sphere started. Just a whole lot of stuff about real estate and what I have found to be successful. Once again, I'm Chuck Maurer with Century 21 DePiro and the Vitardi Real Estate Group, and I appreciate everybody's time and hope everybody has a good one. Happy selling, happy buying.